report here from Director Severance on our HR staff and our HR department summary report. It's great to see that we have increased number of new hires in our non-cert and lower numbers of resignations and leaves of absences, so I'm assuming our staffing levels are still looking good.
Yes, we're still looking good. Obviously, still looking to fill some of our bus driver and maintenance positions. Been working with the union to come up with some creative measures on how we can move forward with that.
Great. There are some other miscellaneous updates having to do with digitizing our personnel files, some work with a deed grant, and also looking at our Grow Your Own grant through the Minnesota Department of Education, where we work with the College of St. Scholastica to recruit and prepare local community members to enter the teaching profession and teach within their communities. This is important because this grant specifically focuses on supporting activities that will increase and, most importantly, diversify our teacher workforce. Our benefits department has wrapped up open enrollment on November 15th for all of our plans. We have also hosted our first retirement information session for employees looking to retire. This year we had 23 employees in attendance, and we are in with contract negotiations right now. We are in contract negotiations with our integration specialists. That hopefully contract will be sent to the board later this month, and we are still in active negotiations with the education directors. And we have had our first full negotiation meetings with the DFT, our union representing our teachers. Is there anything to add?
There might be one additional contract that will come forward next week at the regular board meeting. I met with the Non-Certified Business Administrators Association this afternoon, and it's very possible that we will have a voted on agreement for it to bring forward to you next week.
Great, thank you so much. Anything else? Any questions about the HR monthly departmental summary report? Great. Moving on to our business services, we'll start out and look at our enrollment report. We will be switching to a little bit different enrollment report, a little bit easier to read with more information that details our different schools and our different grades, but will still contain all of the same information. Of note in this report is that we are still over our budgeted number of students at around a little short of 8,000. We're up about 125 students. It is traditional this time of year where we see a decrease in our enrollment due to our seniors graduating early. Do we have any questions on our enrollment report?
No, I have to grab my laptop. I'll be right back.
Great. John will be getting his laptop. He will be right back. Any questions on our enrollment? Great. Moving on to our child nutrition department report. I just heard about this on the Today Show this morning. There is a milk carton shortage, everybody. A milk carton shortage. It is affecting the Duluth Public School and our ability to get skim milk. But thankfully, the state of Minnesota has provided us with a waiver so we can use juice if milk is not available. But it is just the skim milk. So far, we still have 1% and skim chocolate. So good news. We continue to see increased numbers of students taking advantage of lunch and breakfast, and that is a trend that we're seeing across the state of Minnesota since we're offering those meals free. Any questions? Great. Check that one off. Moving on to our facilities report. Anything in the facilities report of note we should talk about other than PSS track lane 1 pond remediation?
The only thing would be is that we do have a RFP that we have sent out for.
We'll give you that.
The only thing would be we have sent out an RFP to demo contractors to do the first phase of demolition at the DNT. So we can open up the ceilings and get the carpeting off the floors, so we really know what we're getting into. The building does have very high ceilings, but then they have a lower acoustic ceiling, so we really need to get that opened up to see what we can run up there, what kind of mess we're getting into.
That's great, and just for reference, underneath the consent agenda, under bids, RFP, and quotes, that's looking at number 2, that's RFP 318, demolition services for property located at 424 West First Street.
That's correct.
Are there any questions over facilities, over the facilities report? Okay. Moving on to the technology department report. As expected, this time of year, we see an increase in the usage of all of our accounts, whether it be Gmail, whether it be any of the accounts that we use, whatever. Okay, losing my mind. We see an increase in, I'm going to start this one over. Simone, you want to help me out on this one here?
Sure. Anthony, technology. So account information, we have 11,105 active accounts.
Thank you.
We have 26.64 TB of storage. Our 214,000 files shared externally. We have had 595 suspicious login attempts and over 5,000 failed user login attempts. Last month was 2.8 thousand, so that's almost close to double. We don't have any E-rate RFP bids right now. Technology help desk tickets is down. 432 were created. 464 tickets were resolved, and 204 tickets remain unresolved. Remaining summer project status, the DS boardroom, we will be working with CDW and ProTech Management to address the remaining issues. And System Commission, the AV systems on Wednesday at 12:06 and 12:07. Hopefully we'll have a fully operational AV system tonight, and I think it's working. New is Google Carbon Footprint for our Google Workspace for Education domain. There's a link there, and October 23 is, we have carbon footprint of 409.96 kilograms. I'm gonna stop there too. Yep.
Where's Bart when you need him, right? I do know that coming up later on in our meeting, we have a new job description for an IT security analyst. Okay, just gonna put that one down. Moving on to transportation. Our staffing has continued to be a challenge as we are still short 2 helpers, and we are still short on drivers, and we'll have one retiring soon. Our assistant manager, Joe Killian, continues to work with staff, their concerns, and then occasionally drive a morning route. And our staff has been working very hard to fill in when others are out, but there's just not enough people yet to cover anything. As far as our bus maintenance, we still have some issues with our buses due to age and rust, but we're getting them back into usable conditions, and we're waiting on 2 used buses to arrive at the dealer that we have selected to help fill in our gaps of the working buses. Our oldest bus is 2010, the next oldest are in 2011, but we did just get a couple new buses.
We did, but we're also purchasing some used ones.
Some used
That's what
ones.
He's got on here.
Great. So we have some new buses, and we'll be purchasing some used buses to get our fleet where it needs to be. Are there any questions?
One quick comment, just because it was kind of exciting. We did have a team of people meet again for some process mapping related transportation, looking at improvement of systems, part of our strategic plan. They met on Friday and spent a good chunk of the day, 4 hours, really working hard on things, and came up with some solutions to some of the route cancellation. So that is a efficiency in the system that will directly affect kids positively. So that, and it will also lead to a smoother start to next year. So we keep working on things behind the scenes, trying to improve systems.
That's great to hear, John. We appreciate it. Okay. So that was our updates of our departmental reports. We apologize. ahead of time. Okay, moving on to our recommended resolutions, and I'll let Director Zinich talk to this in a minute. We have B-12-23-3998, our certified tax levy payable 2020, certified tax levy 2023 payable 2024. We'll have this updated soon. Would you like to speak to some of the issues?
Yes, I would have liked to have given you a copy of it tonight. However, we received an email from MDE at 1 o'clock today. They are having trouble behind the scenes on their end loading. And, thank you, loading the new levy amounts because, of course, we had question 1 pass, and we weren't the only district. It was affecting all districts that had changes to their levy. So this is a copy of the resolution that will be ready to go next week.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Simone about the certified levy 2023 payable to 2024? And I know they'll get that uploaded to Board Book the minute that they have access to it. Moving on to the recommended resolution for resolution authorizing the issuance of taxable general obligation refunding bond, Series 2024A. Director Zinich.
Thank you. This resolution is again attached to question 1 passing on our referendum. And it's called the sale of 2024A bonds. It's to refinance outstanding 2019A certificate and 2021B certificates through the issuance of the taxable general obligation capital appreciation refunding bonds. Yeah.
I'm rubbing off on you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any questions? I'm done. Okay. Next, moving on to Resolution B-12-23-4000, resolution establishing 2024 combined polling places in the Duluth Public School District. This is something we do yearly, and it needs to be passed by the end of December. Superintendent Magus, is there anything to comment on this? Anything we need to know about?
Not that comes to mind, but I think that Executive Director Zinich might have something to add.
I have my own. Okay, this is a resolution that comes to the school board every year, and it essentially is for a school district election that's not going to be held on the day of a statewide election. So, of course, we had one, that's okay. We have an upcoming next November. We have a potential conversation, I'm not saying it's going to happen, a potential conversation of possibly going out for another question, a referendum question in April or May. So this, we have currently 36 polling places. This resolution says we can combine them down to 5 polling places. We do pay for all the polling places to be open and all for the judges. The downside of this is that there are less places for our residents to go to vote in April or May. So it's something the school board will need to speak to. They speak to it every year. Okay?
Do we have any questions?
I think when we talked about this before, it mainly concerned the townships. And given the voter participation by the townships in the last election, which was a statewide election, I think we can look at this again. I don't think combining from 36 down to 5, I would not support that at all. But I think looking at the townships, given the cost for us and how few people actually voted, it might be worth looking at anyway.
Thank you, Member Kirby. Member Oswald, do you have any comments?
I don't like the fact that we have to reduce the polling places at all, but I've been outvoted on this topic every year that I've brought it up. So I'm going with what the majority supports at this point.
Thank you, Member Oswald. I'm sure we'll have a robust discussion on this at the school board meeting on Tuesday. We usually do every year, we vote on this one. Moving on to acceptance of donations to the Duluth Public Schools. We have a donation from Stowe about gently used winter jackets and boots, so we appreciate anything that our community donates to us. Moving on next is the HR staffing report that is attached in board book. That shows us certified appointments, leaves of absences, retirements, and non-certified appointments, resignations, and leaves of absences as well. We also have attached a new job description for an IT security analysis. Executive Director Severance, is there anything of note on this?
No, just, it's a security analyst, and primarily we're just responsible for cybersecurity and protection of the data that we have within the school district.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions? This is a brand-new job description?
It is a new job description.
Got it, okay. And then, moving on to finances, we have our fiscal year 23 audit. This is an attachment that will be pending as well, and we'll let Executive Director Zunich speak to that.
The auditor was not able to provide a rough draft yet for us. We hope to have that by Friday, uploaded to Board Book. Again, we had issues with Skyward and MDE, so there was a little delay last week, and we had to work a few extra days, but we will have that in to everyone by Friday.
Are there any questions? Okay, moving on to, we looked at, no, we did that, right? Our financial report you can find on page 27. That just gives us a list of where we are at with expenses year-to-date and receivables year-to-date. And you can also look at our ESSER funds and then also what monies we have available in Fund 1, which is our Program 298, which is our extracurriculars. Next, moving on, is our fundraising report. We have some fundraisers from East for the Duluth East Spanish Club, ECFE for our citywide advisory board, Lester Park school-wide through the Giving Tree, and Lincoln Park Middle School and the Media Center for scholastic books and our classroom count. Do you have any questions over the fundraisers? Moving on next, we have bids, RFPs, and quotes. The first quote we look at is quote 4389, reconstruction of Homecraft parking lot. And that is, we have two vendors responded. We have Design Tree for $81,500, and then Northland Consulting Engineers for $44,810. So we're going to have our facility staff review both of these quotes. We have awarded it to, is that right? We've awarded it to Design Tree? Design Tree. Okay, so Design Tree will be doing that for $31,500. Brian spoke to earlier in the meeting about RFP 318, demolition services for the property located at 424 West First Street, and that's our DNT building. So that RFP is out, and we will be receiving bids. Do you have any questions on anything so far? Great. We have no contracts, change orders, or leases. Now we move on to miscellaneous informational items. First ones are our expenditure contracts on page 32. So we have quite a few expenditure contracts listed. They run from page 32 to page 33, and you can look at all of the different contracts associated with that all the way up to page 181. Any questions on any of our expenditure contracts or anything we need to explain? Okay. Moving on to our no-cost contracts. We have 3 no-cost contracts. Wolf Ridge ELC for Congdon's field trip with 125 participants. That went October 11th through the 12th. ARCC for technology for some e-weight consulting services. And then finally, St. Mary's University for some teaching and learning, some TLE stuff for an MOU waiving tuition fees for secondary students. I I hope Congdon had a good time at Wolf Ridge. That's a great experience for our students.
We always hear positive things.
It's just the best. And then lastly, revenue contract signed. We have one with the Northland Foundation for $17,500. This is an MOU, and the funds will be used for building the capacity of informal caregivers to enhance their skills, promoting children's healthy physical and social emotional development. That can be found on page 189. Do we have any questions over the expenditure contracts, no cost or revenue contracts? And then lastly, we look at our grant applications to the Peter R. Marsh Foundation with Sophia Bache, L through Lincoln Park Middle School, co-band teacher and music department for $1,000. Chantel and Sophia are looking to diversify our music library to include more composers of color, women composers, and more. This money would be a great start to that. I agree with that. Do we have any questions over that grant application? If not, we have finished our HR Business Services meeting at 5:20 today. Thank you. You have to sit in.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.